Considering the popularity of SUVs in India, it's no surprise that car makers often try and give the SUV experience to consumers who cannot buy an SUV. Now, one of those segments include the subcompact crossover segment, which includes the latest entrant in the form of the Ford Freestyle. Now, interestingly, this segment has been tried and tested by multiple manufacturers without great success. So can Ford really make a difference here with the Freestyle? Well, that's what we are here to find out. It's a great hot day in the Sambar Salt Flats, and it's time to find out what the Freestyle can do. Alright, so now let's start off with the performance of the Ford Freestyle first. And we're doing performance first because, well, Ford claims this is a great driver's car, and it's time that we test whether it's really that fun to drive or not. And to start with, the engine, well, it's an all-new engine. It's a 1.2 litre petrol unit which develops a healthy 96 PS and 120 Newton meters of torque. This engine is paired to, again, an all-new 5-speed manual transmission. And well, if the petrol motor is not something you want, you can also opt for a diesel engine, which is the same that we have been seeing on the EcoSport, which is a 1.5 litre diesel engine that again comes with an all-new 5-speed manual transmission for the Freestyle. So how does the engine perform? Well, to start with, it's a rev-happy motor. It does not rev really quick, but then again, yes, it's very satisfying. And the acceleration is good. Once you get past about 1500 RPM, the motor accelerates from there in a healthy manner. And once you cross about 3000 RPM, that is when the engine really comes to life. Acceleration is quick and makes it a lot of fun to drive. The overall response from the gearbox again is good. The gearbox has got short throws and the ratios are again well matched to the engine. So when you're talking about going quick, it really complements the nature of the engine. We've been driving this car today for a long while in the Sambar Salt Flats, and it's a great place to test this car. And the new engine, the gearbox overall has really impressed us a lot. What has really come into play is again the increased ground clearance. So as you've been seeing in the video, the kind of terrain we've been driving on, the ground clearance really comes in handy. As a result of this high ground clearance, you can easily maneuver over potholes and the regular bad roads that we encounter across our country. Now one might think that the increased ground clearance is going to have an adverse effect on handling, but that's not the case. The suspension on this car has been tuned specifically in favor of handling and to compensate for the increased ride height, as a result of which body roll is very much in control. So even when you're going hard around corners, the car remains planted. There's very less body roll and there's a lot of mechanical grip from the chassis and from the tire. So overall stability is good. High speed stability again is great, and the brakes are very nice. You get good feedback from the pedals. The steering unit, it's an electronic power steering, but again it has been tuned for the Freestyle, and there has been a lot of focus on making it a driver oriented. So as a result of that, you get great feedback from the steering wheel. You get to know precisely what's happening with the front wheel, and overall when you look at all of this, the great engine, a good gearbox, brilliant handling, very nice steering, good brakes, it all knits together into a very nice package wherein you get a lovely car that is great fun to drive. So it brings you a lot of practicality. You can ride it overall in comfort. It's got good ride quality. So all of the practical reasons are taken care of, but in addition it gives you a lot of freedom to go out and have fun, and that's what resonates well with its name, the Freestyle. Now for a car that can go pretty fast and is fun to drive, it is important that you have good safety as well, and Ford has made sure that you get great safety on the Freestyle. The base variants also come loaded with dual airbags and ABS. The top one that we are driving right now, it's got 6 airbags, ABS, and it's got traction control and hill launch assist. And the newest safety feature in the Freestyle is the ARP, which is the active rollover prevention. Now what the system does is basically it uses the traction control to just cut power from any wheel that's losing grip, and again the torque too is taken away, so it can sense if the car is about to roll over. It will cut power and ensure that you do not roll. So overall, how's the car to drive? Well, it's great. A brilliant engine and a gearbox, very nice handling, a good steering, good brakes, and great safety features all around will give you a lot of confidence to push the car. There's a lot of good feedback from the car, and it just rewards you when you push it really hard. So the best thing about the Freestyle is that it's a car that encourages you to push it around a lot harder than one could normally imagine for a car within this price bracket. And that's a really nice thing which I cannot think of any other car delivering in this particular price segment. Now the Freestyle is essentially a Figo on steroid, but it looks a lot different. So what you get up front is you get a different that is completely redesigned. There's a new grille. You look these areas near the fog lamp. Again, this is completely new. And if you move back towards the side again, you can see there's a lot of body cladding which gives it that width. It gives it that crossover appeal. Ford has also moved into new alloy wheels which are one size up. So what you get right now is 15-inch alloy wheels, and these are in dark shade which again look nice. Add to this the scuff plates up front and at the rear and the cladding that goes alongside, and you also have these roof rails which are not there just for show but they're functional. Ford claims these can support weight up to 50 kilograms. So yes, they also bring in an element of practicality. So overall, in terms of design, the Freestyle does manage to look different from the Figo. It does have an identity of its own, and due to the increased ground clearance of 190 mm, the body cladding, the redesigned front and the roof rails, overall it does have that crossover appeal. So yes, in terms of road presence, it does command a better road stance than the Figo. Now the interiors of the Ford Freestyle bear resemblance to that of the Ford Figo, and one of the first things you notice is, in terms of differences, the dual tone dashboard. Now the colors used here include a chocolate and a brown shade, and while this may not be to everyone's taste, I find it quite nice, and it just peps up the overall cabin and brings a lot of youthful appeal into it. The other highlight in the cabin is the 6.5 touchscreen, and this comes loaded with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It does not come with inbuilt navigation, but since it supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can just stream navigation onto this. Apart from that, you get your regular Bluetooth connectivity. You've got here 2 sockets for USB charging, and there's a 12-volt socket as well. So if you are someone wherein you want to have multiple devices being juiced up together in one go, the Freestyle can do that for you. The steering wheel, again, well, it's a Ford, and like we've seen on other Fords, it's a nice chunky steering wheel to hold. It's got the controls for telephone and your audio and the audio system. So apart from that, if you talk about comfort, if you talk about the seats themselves, well, these are very good seats. The padding is good and the side support is good. The under thigh support is good. Since the car is a little high at 190 mm ground clearance, there's a slightly better view. You get a little more raised up stance, but it's not as much what you would expect like from an SUV. But yes, it makes a slight difference. Talking about storage space within the cabin, well, there's loads of it. You have door pocket holders wherein you can easily put at least 3 bottles, and you've got again place here wherein you can put a couple of beverages. You can again put a large bottle again here, and there's space here for either keeping your sunglasses or your mobile phone. It's a rubber padded area so that your items do not get scratched. Now Ford seems to be developing a good habit of offering touchscreens with best in class response, and this one's no different. Well, the user interface is very simple, so anyone will find it easy to use, and the touch response is phenomenal. Everything just happens very quickly. You press anywhere and the response is very nice. It's a very slick touchscreen, and I find it quite easy to say that this is the best touchscreen within this price segment. So now we're in the rear seat of the Ford Freestyle, and well, if you talk about space, there's a lot of leg room. Now the driver's seat is adjusted to my height, 5 feet 8 inches for reference, and as you can see, there's ample leg room. There's room for me to even slide my feet under the seat. And the seat themselves, well, the rear seat is good. There's a good amount of under thigh support. The backrest angle and the support is again good. However, if you talk about the space, it's ample, but it's not the best in the segment. So there are other cars which can offer you more space. Headroom, however, is not an issue at all. What can be a slight issue for some people is the overall dark theme within the cabin. So what that does is it takes away a little bit of airy feel from the cabin, and the cabin could get a little claustrophobic if you've got probably 2 or 3 people sitting here for a long time. Now what the Ford Freestyle misses out is storage space. There is no space within the door pockets. However, you have space here to put in a water bottle, so it covers that. You also have pockets behind the front seats, so it does compensate for that, but there is no rear AC vent, and there are no armrests. You do not have a driver armrest, and there is no armrest for this seat as well. So overall, from a cabin perspective, well, the Ford Freestyle offers a good experience. What you get is a decent amount of space, good connectivity options, nice build quality, and a good set of features. So we've had a fantastic day out today with the Ford Freestyle, and we've driven it extensively over different roads. We've driven it on highways, city roads, broken village roads, and of course the Sambar salt flats where there were no roads. And on all of these places, the Ford Freestyle performed well and impressed us in multiple ways. And what makes it different from any of the other cars that have tried to do the same thing earlier is that this is not just a hatchback that has been given a visual makeover. It comes with a brand new engine, a new gearbox. The suspension has been tuned accordingly, steering again has been tuned accordingly. So this is a car that's just not on visual steroids, it's actually a good performance machine. Now the Ford Freestyle hasn't been launched yet, but the prices will be out soon, and we're hoping by the time you see the video, you will have the prices at the bottom of the screen. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe and share button and like it as well. For anything else from the world of wheels, please log on to www.expressdrives.com. Till the next time we meet again, drive safe, obey all traffic rules, and always wear a helmet when riding a two-wheeler.